Welcome to the Inside My Mind podcast. My name is Josh, and you just stepped inside my mind. This is a podcast about my thoughts, feelings, desires, moods. No, I'm just kidding. This is a podcast of me talking about film, television, culture, my worldviews, and in hopes to also hear about your guys' worldviews. This is not a one-sided goal with the channel. It is to connect with many people and hear their views, thoughts, and feelings, because I want to learn. I want to learn new things all the time, and I never feel like I, have it fully, I got it figured out. I feel like if you have that perspective, you're always going to think you have arrived when you are actually needing to learn all the more. So, yeah, let me just fix my mic a little bit. So, what is this episode about? Well, man, I've been battling a disease for the past technically 7 years. I say technically because my health was declining after 2015. And I didn't know why. I just thought maybe I was getting older. I was unfortunate, having these health issues. But then I started to feel like really awful, like I was dying. I was like, something's wrong. So I went to the doctor, I went through that process. Hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, I think you're just depressed. And you're like, well, I don't think I'm depressed. I don't think that these health issues are only due to depression. And you may be right. I do have depression, but that's not the reason. I don't think that's what it is. And I was just declining from then. But because I was so scared and because I was so motivated to the goals I had, I just kept pushing. And man, I just kept pushing hard. I didn't stop. I didn't relent. And I was like just going 1,000 miles per hour and hoping I don't run out of gas. And whatever's coming, because I felt it in my body, something is wrong and it's going to only get worse. Try to get all the stuff you want to do, so when it hits, you'll have the resources, maybe funds to heal yourself. That was the goal. I did not make that. I did not make that goal. I did not make it to the goal. Unfortunately. So I'm going through this sickness, right? And I'm going through this sickness, and I don't know what's going on. Doctors are telling me I'm fine. All my blood work comes fine. Everything's fine, and it's just not. I'm not well, and something is very wrong, and I don't know how to fix it. Anyway. 2019 hits, and I feel like my brain's starting to not function properly, which was really concerning. I thought I was like developing a brain tumor or something because I was having symptoms of that. And I was like, I know I can struggle with like not wanting to get sick, but this is like something seriously wrong with my body. And I'm praying, going, God, please, like, heal me, because like I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Doctors aren't going to help me. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm looking up my symptoms, and even the freaking Google doesn't know what I have. WebMD doesn't know what I got. It was just like, bro, it could be multiple things. And I'm like, okay, thanks, WebMD. You know how it is. So I'm just fight or flight, going hard. And then I'm doing this internship, doing video. And as I'm walking around, I'll never forget this. I remembered I needed to get a SIM card out of a room. And I said, okay, I got to go grab that SIM card. So I get up and I grab it. I get up and I'm on my way to grab it. And I get in the room and I totally forget what I was grabbing. Everyone has that. We've all had that. But I go back and I remember. I'm like, oh. And I go over there and I forget again. I'm like, dang it. something's, I just can't remember. And I'm already feeling foggy before then, but this is like forgetful. Like I am not even just foggy, like I am forgetful. So I'm just like, okay, what's going on? And I used to not be that way. I was very like, I have a very good memory, at least in the past. I was very, very good with memorizing a lot of things. So I'm like, wow, what's going on? And so I go back. I don't remember. I remember again. And I'm like, okay, I got to remember this time. So I go in and I forget again. And I'm like, something's wrong. I can't think. I can't remember. That was one of the things. Another one was I went to the bathroom and I got so disoriented, I forgot where I was. Like I didn't know where I was. I was like, oh, I'm in this building. It was really scary. And then another time in 2019, during this internship, I'm walking down the hallway and I forget that I was there. I don't know how to articulate it, but my brain thought I was home and then I was teleported into this place. And I was like, what? Like I had no recollection of how I'm there. I thought I was at home for a split second. Like it was really weird. This is a company with like, I feel sick all the time in my stomach. No matter what I was eating, I felt dizzy and disoriented. No matter what I consumed or didn't consume, I felt awful. I was extremely fatigued. I felt like my equilibrium was off. I'm just like completely off, like in every aspect. I'm just declining in every aspect. So then I have this and I'm like, fuck, dude, like this is getting really bad. But I got to keep moving. But I knew that it was going to come to a head. 2019, October, I'm in the shower and all of a sudden I feel extremely sick and I feel like I'm about to throw up in the shower and pass out all at the same time. And I don't throw up, thankfully. But I open my eyes because I was closing my eyes. Like I'm in so much pain. I open my eyes and it's black. Like it's just black. I'm blinking and I'm like, oh, I'm blind right now. And I've never had that before. So I was like, what is going on? I'm terrified because I don't want one of my biggest fears is to pass out being naked and my family finds me. And so I didn't want that to happen. So I was just like, oh God, please don't let me pass out before I put pants on. So I make sure I don't, I'm like blinking a lot and I'm trying to find the door. So I find the door, I swing it open, I hop out and I'm just trying to find the toilet because I just need to sit down. So I sit on the toilet and my vision comes back and I was like, whoa, what the hell was that? And I feel like so sick, like nauseous, like I'm going to puke again. And I just feel like I'm about to pass out again. I even though I didn't, but I feel like I'm about to again. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And then I start to, regain, my everything. And I just still feel dizzy, but I feel like, okay, like I could put pants on. So I put on my pants and then I walk out and tell my mom and sister, I go, I just like blacked out in the shower. I'm kind of concerned. I've been having a lot of serious headaches, a lot of dizziness and extreme forgetfulness and brain fog and all these other symptoms. I need to get my brain scanned right now. Like something's off. Something's really wrong. I go and they check and by God's grace and thankfully I don't have that. But I don't have any answers. They give me a heart monitor and see what comes of it. Heart monitor comes back later. Everything's fine. I start to get really hopeless because I feel like I'm declining each month worse and worse than I was before. 2020 rolls around and I'm hopeless. And I start to just wish I was dead because I'm not living anymore. I'm alive, but I'm not living. I'm not able to be present. I'm not able to be oriented. I'm barely surviving at work. I'm just acting like I'm okay at work. But once I get home, I'm so exhausted, I gotta go to bed. And the next day, I gotta do it all over again. And it was like so challenging. My body starts hurting. Like I have the flu. I'm nauseous the entire time. I can't eat at all. I just feel like my life is over because I'm losing what's making me me, and I'm also losing my ability to function. And I'm scared that I'm about to become just like a vegetable or something. I don't know what's happening. 2020 November, I find out I have Lyme disease. Who knew? It's about time, right? Okay, cool. I got Lyme disease. Now what? I figured out how to treat it through my girlfriend at the time. She was there to help me and get better, as well as a doctor as well. Both of them kind of helping me. I was taking something for like malaria, but it was like helping for Lyme supposedly. And then I was also taking Eastern medicine, and because my girlfriend at the time, she's Asian, and she had experience in the medical field and also had some experience with Eastern medicine through her dad. And so she did everything she could to help me get better. And I'm extremely grateful. But the thing is when you try to treat Lyme disease, it gets worse before it gets better. And from 2020 to 2023, those were the hardest years of my life, yet again. Just on another level. It was already hard, now it's even harder. So I've been battling Lyme disease at the time. I say at the time. Technically, I still have it. I would say I'm almost better. I would say I'm way better than I was. I'd say the only thing that I'm navigating now is, unfortunately, I'm dealing with still some brain fog and not forgetfulness, but I'm dealing with, I'm not the same person that I was. A lot of things have happened. Health issues, they affect everything. And Lyme disease, it affects your relationships because it affects how you function in all aspects. It affects your cognitive ability to remember. It affects your physical ability to move. It affects your ability to process. It affects everything. And I don't wish this on my worst enemy to ever have this disease. It was terrible. I'm grateful that I'm alive and well now. And that's why I'm able to do this channel now. But I thought all my dreams were over. To ever make a movie. To ever grow in skills again. Because when your cognitive ability starts to get destroyed by the disease, you can't learn anymore. If you can't retain information, you can't learn. If you can't focus, like, now I'm not talking about just ADHD, like your eyes are hurting so bad, just, and headaches are so bad that you can't focus on anything. Thinking is just even painful. You're just in a brain fog like no other. You can't think clearly in any way. It's a mess. You feel like a mess. I was a mess. This was a painful experience. And it's a lot to go through. And it takes a toll on you. It affects everything in your life. And I'm so thankful that I still was able, by God's grace, to maintain relationships somehow, even though I couldn't be there for them. I learned how to be okay with not being okay, because that was something I didn't know how to really do. I was a very I was the stereotypical independent kid, I was an independent man. This disease made me feel like I lost my youth as well. I couldn't go out much, had no energy, had no function ability, could barely drive, could barely walk. Standing for 2 minutes was the most excruciating pain. Like, standing for 2 minutes was harder than like anything. Walking to the bathroom would be a challenge. Sitting down and getting up was a challenge. Your energy resources are completely shot. You can't do anything except lay in bed, usually. But as I was getting sick, and even when I did find out what I had, and as I was navigating a lot of suicidal thoughts, let me tell you, it got dark. Real dark. There were so many days I wanted to take my life. And I knew I could do it. But God is interesting. This disease has affected me in very, very heavy ways. And it's also affected me in my theology, my perspective of God, my personal relationship with God. I learned who my real friends were. I learned how to love me despite me not being able to perform, and learning that I was only loved for my performance and most people and the most people I was connected to at the time. Because when I couldn't perform, they weren't there. It is what it is. I learned that I was worthy of love despite me not having anything to give at the time. And that was really awesome to experience. I've made some amazing friends in this process. I've had some very painful experiences in this process. I've had a lot of loss, and now I'm having a lot of gain. When you lose everything and you feel like it's all over and you're not going to get out of it, completely hopeless, it's really amazing when you finally come out of that dark place. The relief, the peace, the thankfulness, the gratefulness. It's so rich. Life now for me is so much more rich after this experience. There truly is joy at the other side of the pain that we experience. That's one of the things I've learned, as cheesy as it, always is told by people when they're in a good season. One of the things that I did while I was battling this disease is even though I was suicidal, I still said I need to keep moving. I gotta keep moving. And so I did. I just kept moving no matter what, no matter how hard it was. I still kept moving. Yeah, there were times where I couldn't make it to work at all. I couldn't get out of bed. I was too sick. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive my commute, which was a fucking hour each day. I couldn't do it. And God protected me so much in this process. As much as I felt like God was harming me in that process, I learned God isn't harming people. He may allow bad things to happen, but eventually he's going to allow good to come out of it. Now, that doesn't mean that God goes, this bad thing is going to happen to you and I want it to happen to you. It's more like, despite this bad thing that happens to you, I'm going to make it good. And that's what I've learned with Romans 8:28. He works all things together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I've lived this experience. As I said before, it got dark. I got to a place where I didn't even want to do film. I didn't even think I could, because my brain was not working the same way as it used to. Creativity was kind of going out the door. Just wasn't. I didn't have ideas anymore. I couldn't think. I couldn't articulate. And to be honest, though I'm in the process of that healing and I've made so much progress, my articulation abilities is not to the same level. So I generally now get anxiety to even try to make a video such as this. It's not the things that made me me. I lost all of them. And over time, I've seen God fully restore me little by little. Restoration does come in time. But what I've learned is that you got to believe even though you can't see. And that's what I've been navigating, and that's where my faith has in ways changed, but also it's grown stronger. Went through an incredible amount of deconstruction, but at the same time, I've also grown in a deeper belief. That God's going to take care of me. And he has. I know a lot of people don't usually recover from Lyme disease to the amount that I have. I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm very, very blessed. God will restore me all the way, and I will be stronger than I've ever been. I wasn't someone who believed in manifestations or speaking things into existence, but I can't deny that God put me in that position where I had to start doing that if I was going to get restoration in any way. And I had to have faith without any doubt in my mind that I was going to recover and be restored. And now I'm in a place where doubt can try to creep in, but it does not have the same hold that it used to. And that is a really beautiful thing on my growth as a person. as I believed that God would restore me more and more, even though I couldn't see it at all. Little by little, I was being healed. My body is becoming stronger. My energy is becoming more. My personality is coming back. My ability to articulate is not to the level I would like it to be, but it is coming back. Sometimes setbacks happen. Sometimes they're our fault, and sometimes there are things that we cannot control. Sometimes it's a blend of both. But I've heard this quote before, but the best setback is the setup for a greater comeback. And I believe that's happening. And I believe that will happen in my life, whatever that looks like. After losing everything, though, you learn a lot. And these are the things that I've learned. And there's a lot of good that's come from this process. Unfortunately, it was painful, but there's a lot of good that's come from it. So one of the things that has come out of this process is I've learned a lot about self-worth and how much I put my self-worth into achievements, performance, and my identity even in that, and also my identity, how people perceive me. In this sickness, I really went through an ego death. I lost, everything in a lot of ways. And so I've learned now that one of the biggest things that I used to believe was people liked me for whatever I provided. And I think most people can relate to that, I couldn't just be, if I just, I felt like I always had to entertain. I felt like I had to do things to keep people in my life. I struggled deeply with people pleasing. And now I'm not there anymore. And this process really helped me in that I really learned that there are people in my life that really did love me for me. And it wasn't due to, I had nothing to provide these people. They just loved me and they were there for me. And I'm very grateful. I couldn't perform to my best ability. I was still trying to work 2 jobs while I was dealing with this disease, and both employers understood what I was navigating, and they still wanted to not only see me pull through, but they kept me on board. And I'm eternally grateful for that. I made new friends in this process, surprisingly, even though I couldn't even be the best friend that I would like to be. This disease affected my memory, my social skills, my cognitive function on all levels. So I was not the best friend to be around, in my opinion. But these people showed me that I was enough just being me now. I would talk about the past person I was. I was a better person before this. And they would tell me, who you are now, I think, is pretty cool. And I like that guy. I lost friends in this process too. And that's just part of how it goes. Sometimes people are there for seasons, many seasons, and other people are there for one season of your life. It's how it goes. A big thing that I've also learned is that my worth is not in my attachments and how much I did have attachments. Oh, I'll be happy when I succeed. Oh, I'll be enough when I have this amount of money. I'll be enough when I have this amount of status, this amount of subscribers, this amount of success, this amount of skills. This sickness affected even my ability to learn, so I couldn't even grow in that aspect. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I really did think it was over. But I really learned that when you detach from all those things and go, are you worth it now? Then I really understood more and more that it doesn't matter if I win or lose. It's going to be okay. Because either way, I do win. Because I have that faith that I'm going to come out of this. I might be scarred, I might be hurt, I might be broken down, but eventually I'm going to come out of this fully healed and restored. And the more I just keep believing that, it happens. The progress happens. I can't deny God's existence in my life. I can't deny his provision, his healing, his presence. I can't deny it. He's been with me throughout all of this. I'm so grateful as well. I struggled with cynicism for a very long time. Used to think God was cruel or indifferent, but I realized that he's not cruel, he's not indifferent. God allows evil things to happen because people have free will. And God's scales are not like ours. So what you might think is extremely evil, God says that's evil. What you think a white lie is kind of bad, God doesn't put scales like that. We have free will to do good or bad in our life. And when you have that full understanding, you stop getting so upset when people are not acting a way that you desire them or have an attachment toward an outcome. I stop caring about the outcomes of things. Whether I succeed in a moment with somebody, socially speaking, I don't even think about that outcome anymore. I've detached from all outcomes in a way, but I still set goals and I still want to meet those goals and those criterias. But I also understand that it's okay if I don't. My worth stays the same. I'm not a piece of garbage because I didn't succeed in that. And I'm not a better person because I did succeed in it. I will be proud of myself when I succeed. And when I fail, I will fight to not beat myself up. But I used to do that a lot. And this disease really challenged me because it put me in a position where, what do you do if you can't learn because your brain can't remember, you can't retain information, you're in a haze. So how are you supposed to learn from your mistakes? So you make a mistake and you go, okay, try not to make that again so I can, grow. Oh, you're still making the same mistake. Even though you forgot that you even went through that until the mistake happens and you're like, damn it, I did this again. I literally learned, I told myself not to do it, but I forgot. It was terrible. Not like me usually. I'm not someone like that. I was not a forgetful person before this. Forgetting friends' birthdays was not a norm for me. Forgetting families' birthdays was not a norm for me. Forgetting things my friends told me, people I loved told me I cared about. Even regulars that I work at the job I work at, I would forget what they told me. It was a big undertaking. I can only give the credit to the Lord. Yes, I still fought like hell. And so those of you who go, hey, God's not doing me any favors, I got to get it. I understand. The truth is you're right to a degree. You do got to go get it. You have free will. You still have to go out in there and grab the things that you want. But God does help us if we seek him and believe he will come through. We can't have any doubt. Complete faith is not, I hope he comes through. Complete faith is, I know he will. It's like the sun rising, right? You don't wonder if the sun's going to rise in the morning. It just does. You just have that assurance every single day. That's the type of faith that God is asking us to have, or at least that's what I've learned, and that's the type of faith I've learned to have. The world isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's a dark, nasty place, and it will beat you down to your knees if you let it. And if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. And you gotta be willing to take the hits. Not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I love that scene. And I had that message on my wall to remind me every day. If you're going through a very dark time in your life and you feel like you're not going to come through it, I promise you, whatever you believe, no matter what, it will get better at the end. It takes time. Sometimes you might have 5 shitty years. Sometimes you might have 6 shitty years. Sometimes you might have 7 shitty years. But eventually, the good comes. The balance happens. And you're not dealing with the constant stress, hurt, anxiety, or whatever. It eventually dies down. But when we're in that mess, we're still need to be taking in the lessons so that when we're in the state of peace, we have all those tools ready for the next storm. There's always a storm, and you got to prepare for it. And I don't even mean in a cynical way, just understanding the reality of what may come. I'm a much more balanced individual than I used to be. Another thing is even though I felt like my life was over, I just had this innate belief that I need to keep moving. No matter how painful or hurtful or stressful or suicidal I was, I needed to keep moving. If you are in a depressed state, a broken down state, do not stop moving, because moving will help you. As long as you're making some movement, you're making some progress. Even if you're moving the tiniest step. Another thing I learned is that I had to cherish the wins. When you become so ill, a win is a shower. A win is you made it to work. A win is you got out of bed on your day off. You got out of bed in general. A win is you didn't feel as sick as you felt yesterday. The smallest little things I had to make wins in my life. It's a strong coping mechanism, but man, does it help. But now that I'm out of that season, I'm more grateful than ever to eat without feeling sick, to making it to a job that maybe I might be tired of being at this time, but at least I got a job still after all of this, where I could have been let go because I wasn't performing to my utmost. And yet that job still kept me. I'm incredibly thankful for all the things I have. And daily, when I want to complain a little bit that something's not quite where it is, I got to stop myself and remind myself how far I've come. I was in bed sick a year ago. Now I have energy to run. Now I have energy to work out every day. Now I have energy to do the things I enjoy and love and have wanted to do that I couldn't. Now socializing doesn't make me anxious because I feel like cognitively I'm more present than I used to be. I'm not in stress and anxiety. I am in peace. You need to count your wins in the painful process you're in so that when you finally come out of it, you stay in that habitual gratefulness, because that gratefulness will expand to deeper layers of you, and you won't have the neural pathways to become very cynical or depressed, in my opinion. I'm just happy to be alive now. I get to live life again. I'm so thankful because of that. I'm grateful for the experiences I had, even at this point now, some of the bad ones. Not just because they may have taught me something, but because those good ones can't taste as good if the bad ones didn't come. It's the duality of this world, duality of man. There's pain at the other side of that. I'm sorry, there's joy at the other side of that pain. And it's really amazing when you experience it. That process of rebirth, where you die, ego death, right? And then that rebirth and transformation happens in you. It's a pretty beautiful process. At the end, you'll see what it is, but in the moment, it won't be. It's going to be ugly and painful, and you're going to feel like you're nothing. So if you're feeling that right now, it's okay. But remember and remind yourself, I won't be here forever. I'm going to come out of this eventually. I just have to keep moving and believe that it will eventually change. And whatever you have in your power to change, then go do it. Whatever's out of your power, accept that that's how it is, and it's okay. But do all you can do each day, even in the states that you're in. Because another lesson I learned is the 1% concept. I learned that if I can just get 1% better at something, I'm improving. That's where I'm at this year. Instead of focusing on, oh man, I'm not to the level that I used to be socially or mentally or even physically, I used to get so discouraged by that and grieve. It was a huge grieving process of all the loss of me, losing me, what made me me, or at least what I thought made me me. And now it's beautiful because I get to get 1% better every day. So I focus on that. How is your day at work? You know what? I got 1% better. I got 1% more skilled. I'm getting 1% better at making my goals happen. Getting 1% better at being more consistent again. Because I got to rebuild, because all of these neural pathways were destroyed by the disease. And then not only that, but then I got into bad habits that unfortunately were created because I couldn't function. So I laid in bed many days and couldn't get out of bed. But when you get healed, you might still mentally want to be in that state, and you have to fight that because it's habitual. I was sick for years, so I need to, fight still. And so the mindset of 1% better is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to continue to progress and grow, but not be discouraged or pressured or stressed while doing it. Because now now you're proud of you just doing 1% better. But that accumulates. Months down the line, you'll see that because you did all those things 1%, you went up in your skills. And so I believe that if you focus all the things you want to do and get better at, but just tell yourself, as long as I get 1% better, you're never going to be disappointed in yourself, because everyone can get 1% better at anything. So I don't even struggle with my body dysmorphia anymore of going, man, my physique is not to the level I would like it to be, because I go, well, I'm getting 1% better. It's a very powerful tool that has helped my mental health immensely. In this sickness, I was just trying to do my best every day. I really was. I wasn't always succeeding. but I could rest easy to a degree that I did my best. And I honestly feel like if you're in a dark place and you are struggling right now, remind yourself that if you really are, make sure you're doing this, you're doing your best, that it's the best. Yeah, people may not always be happy with it. People may not always feel like it's enough. But you can't go off them telling you it's not enough because you're doing the best you can. If that's not enough for them, then that's their choice. That's how they feel, and you know, it is what it is. I do accept that it's okay that you're not enough for certain people, because for the right people, you'll be more than enough. So that was another thing I learned. I did my best, and it is the best, you know, and I'm really proud at how much I was able to do despite how sick I was. By God's grace, I succeeded. I maintained jobs. I still maintained relationships to a degree. And the areas I couldn't, those people were able to give me the right grace that I needed, understanding and empathy. If you're dealing with some people who, you know, you're in your darkest place, people are expecting you at your best, but you're at your worst, then keep trying to do your best, but internally accept that you're not going to please everybody right now, and that's okay. The season you're in, it's not the move. Just do your best. And for the people that truly love you and appreciate you, they're not going to feel like you're not enough, because they'll know what you're going through. They'll understand completely of what you're going through. And so they won't be upset with you that you're not doing everything that they want you to do. They're just thankful that you were able to do what you did. So don't let anyone tell you you're not enough because of how you are performing, because you're doing your best in the state you're in. Continue to do your best. And eventually, you'll get better. But since you're in such a habit of doing your best, when you get into the better season, you'll be even better than your best. And that's really fucking beautiful. Another thing I learned by a video that told me this, but then and I can't remember his name, so I can't give him credit, unfortunately. Maybe I'll put the link, but I learned that I applied this in my life, or at least observed this in my life, and I learned that people are using you if they never take your advice. If you are constantly giving advice to somebody and they never take it, at some point, you're probably there just to be used for whatever reason, and it sucks. But then you just operate accordingly to that person. You know, don't give everything to them. I've learned how to set stronger boundaries. Used to think that the people who wanted to be my friends were meant to be my friends, and now I've learned that no, I have free will and free choice, and I can pick whoever I want in my life, and I don't have to have people in my life that may not be good for me, and I'm going to navigate accordingly, right? I'm going to not let just anybody in my life. I don't care for whatever reason that they would like to be in my life. I'm not just letting anybody in. I now have strong boundaries in saying no more to things. I don't stop my own goals just to help other people. For a long time, I did these things and they were unhealthy in the end. I was a chronic people pleaser because I genuinely do love people and I want to help people. If it's a detriment to yourself, it becomes unhealthy, right? And boy, did it become unhealthy as I experienced this sickness and learned that there was not as many people who had my back as I thought, but the right ones did, and they now get to share in the fruit of my process because they were there in the beginning and middle, and now I'm in a new season, so we all get to celebrate together, which is very beautiful, and I'm very thankful for that. So what is the future of this channel? Video essays will be still coming back. But there's a lot of other content I want to make. And that's definitely going to come finally. Obviously, this podcast will be about film, television, my thoughts, ideas. Like I said, another thing is more reactionary videos talking about different things. Because I really want to not only put a lot of content out, but I really do want to build on what I've already made, and so I will. So if you're wondering where my faith stands, I'm still a believer, but I probably have very differing views than most believers. And that's just how it is. And, everybody has differences in their theology and perspective and their worldview, right? Everybody has some sort of different aspect or quote unquote cherry pick, I guess, that I found. I hope that this was helpful for people to know what's going on and have that transparency and honesty with you guys. But also, I hope that this will help you guys understand that it's not over. I used to think I got the short end of the stick in life when I was younger, and it was a foolish victim mindset that I struggled with, that I had to grow out of. Thankfully, I did. If you're struggling with that, I understand completely. Don't let it consume you. If you struggle with, oh, there's good things happening, what happens when it goes bad? I can understand. But try to fight and grow your mind to think in a positive way of what everything can go right instead of preparing for what can go wrong. And I'm not trying to contradict myself of what I said earlier, preparing for a storm. You can simultaneously prepare for a storm, but not mentally constantly be there. You can mentally be here, be present in the here and now, because that's all you got. The reason why we get burnt out is because our mental is focusing on so many other things. We got multiple tabs open, but it's when we focus on the one and the one and the one things, and we don't deviate from them, and we don't think about them in advance, that we stop being extremely stressed. We progress better when we do that as well. Don't tax yourself by being cynical. And if you're struggling and you feel like God's dealt you a bad hand, I totally understand that feeling. But it's not true. You might have some shitty cards in your life. You might have some terrible things. But what's so beautiful is that transformation is our birthright. All the other animals don't get to transform, but you do. You just have to put in the work and keep taking steps to progress. Don't be stagnant. Don't run away. Be courageous. You might be afraid still, but be courageous. Because if you're strong and courageous, you will progress eventually out of this. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Whether you believe in Jesus or not, in my opinion, Jesus will help you in that dark place a lot better than just you on your own. But either way, God is so good to the world in that aspect that eventually he still lets good happen to people, whether they're his children or not. He has good seasons for everybody. So that good season's coming. So are you going to keep pushing despite how you're feeling? Or are you going to cower away, take steps back, run to vices to cope and be destructive? Because you have all that potential to do so. Or you have the potential to be greater than you were yesterday. It's your choice, and we all have our choices. Life is all about trade-offs and choices, and so whatever you choose will eventually reflect in your life, whatever that looks like. So try to be wise despite the pain you're in, and make the right choices that you need to make your life better. We all have things we got to overcome. We all have traumas that have hurt us. We've all been in some form neglected or abused by somebody. But it is not an excuse to let that stop us from transforming and overcoming that effect. If you're hurting, don't hurt people. Strive not to hurt people. It might make you feel good and powerful right now, but in the end, you'll regret it. Hurt people, and heal people, and healthy people make healthy people. You are what you consume. If you are consuming everything through a cynical lens, that's always what you will have. Do not victimize yourself. My generation, our generation, we like to play the victim a lot. We like to make ourselves the victim over everything. It's good to study your childhood. It's good to do some psychological evaluations. It's good to maybe go to therapy, right? It's good to do those things. The only problem is you got to do something with it at the end. You may know your triggers and why, but are you going to fix them? Because your triggers are not other people's responsibility. It is fully your responsibility. Your past is your responsibility now. It wasn't your fault of what happened to you, but it's your choices now. You're responsible now of what you do. And does it suck that you have to pick up the pieces even though someone else did this harm to you? Yeah, it does suck. It blows. It blows some mad donkey balls, man. It's awful. But we all have that. It's no excuse. If you want to be the change you want to see in the world, then that's what I desire, and hopefully I can achieve that. If you want to be a good influence in the world or in your environments, then break the cycles that you had inflicted on you. Change the narrative. You may have been abused. You may have been hurt. You may have been told you're not enough. Break that cycle and heal. Hug that cactus. It's going to be painful. When you work on triggers, it's going to be uncomfortable because it was so normal for you. When you're in a triggering space, it doesn't always mean that place is bad for you. It means that it's revealing something that happened to you. And it's a challenge to overcome this trigger that's in your way. That person triggering you, that thing triggering you is not in the way. It's a battle between you and yourself. So get that side of you out of the way. Overcome it, tame it, and then heal it. Make sure you do the work, because if you do, then we can have more and more people in the world healed rather than harmed. And if you ask me in this generation, I know it's very normal to everyone's harming each other, but if we all choose to truly heal and become individuals who take responsibility and accountability for our own triggers, for our projections, and become very mindful of all these things. We will never be perfect. We're still going to make mistakes. That's not the point. It's not the goal. The goal is just be a healthier human being, because the world is sick. Sick people need a doctor. And the only way that these people can be healed in better places, they need to be presented with the idea that healing is possible. They can choose to take it or not. It's not about the outcome for you. It's not about what you gain. You do it for you. And whoever chooses to believe or agree or want to do that too, they will. This is real influence. This is truly being a leader. You're not following the crowd. You're not being like everybody else. You truly want to change things. So you're going to be a positive influence in the world, and whatever that looks like. Let's all take responsibility where we can, and where the things that were out of our control, we'll accept that they're out of our control. In the end, we're not going to victimize ourselves, no matter how burned we got. We're going to accept that people made bad choices, and that's their problem. But I'm not going to repeat their cycles. All the bad things that happen to you is not your fault, right? It's not your fault. But what you do now and what you don't do that you should be doing now, that is your fault. So let's all take action. Let's all choose to grow. Maybe we can make the world a little bit kinder, nicer, and loving than it was just a couple years ago. My name is Josh. These are my thoughts, and you just stepped inside.